Okay, listen, pay attention, Akebula, and pay attention, my people. Someone from East Africa sent me a video of a billionaire from West Africa on how he was treated in Southern Africa. I want you to watch it. Then I will tell you what I want to tell you. Watch it.
I was traveling to Cape Town for the mining endeavor in South Africa. And as we landed, and it was a red eye, so I left at night from Lagos to Cape Town. We arrived at 6 in the morning. And as we arrived, we went to the immigration, attended my passport. The immigration officer looked at it, and he was like, "Why is your visa?" And I said, "My visa is there." Unknown to me, my visa had expired the day before. And what happened? Unfortunately, our crew did not check the visas to ensure that the visas were valid. We were there for 4 hours, but at the end of the day, I had to turn back. I was turned back to Lagos. But the issue is, while we were waiting, to see whether we'd be able to get access into the country without a visa, there were like 3 international flights from Europe. All the 3 flights were mostly Europeans. I was standing there by the immigration desk, and each and every passenger on those 3 flights went into Cape Town without any visa at all. I do not have a problem with the fact that I was there without a visa and I was returned. I took full responsibility of that. I had an issue being an African in Africa, being turned away because I do not have a visa, and foreigners from other continents who are coming in and were allowed to enter without.
You see, what you just watched and heard is a painful contradiction in Africa. An African where Europeans can move across African states easily. An African where a Chinese can get easy access to African market. An African where foreign companies can extract African resources and wealth freely. Yet, an African is treated like a stranger in African continent. Akebulan, you see this? It is bigger than migration problem. This is a psychological problem. Many Africans still don't trust Africans. They trust strangers and foreigners more than they trust Africans. That is a painful contradiction in Africa, that foreigners can move freely in the African continent than Africans in Africa. That is why the rest of the world don't respect us. That is why we cannot be powerful. Because while the rest of the world is building alliances, building unity, building mobility, building trade network, we are still treating Africans as foreigners in Africa, respecting colonial borders that were not drawn by us. That is why no one takes us serious at Kebuland. That is why no one respects us. We must understand something very important, that when people fear themselves, they can never rise beyond themselves. And that's why we cannot have conversation about Pan-Africanism. We can't talk about African unity. We can't talk about African integrity. We cannot even look the world in the eyes and say, hey, we need this. That's why your leaders still battle that we want to be permanent members of UN Security Council. But yet they don't listen to us. Why? Because at home, we don't even respect ourselves. We don't even love ourselves. Strangers are more treated like in our continent. That is the painful contradiction of the African society. Until we build mobility, until we build trade network, until we build alliances, until an African is free to move within Africa, we cannot rise beyond this. Until we achieve this unity. You see, the speeches about African unity will continue to be a slogan rather than a reality. It's very painful. It's very painful. We can do better. We can do better. Akebulan, wisdom is a principal thing. Aha!